straight talk from our perspective. This is ManCave Live with your host, Lexington Steele, and co-host, Andre Lavelle, and Johnny Depp on LA Talk Radio. Let's get it in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are back in the house. This is the ManCave Live Show here on LATalkRadio.com. We are in studio, of course, with my main man, Andre Lavelle, on the Wheels of Steel. What's going on?
Doing great, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Johnny Depp, of course, as always, representing Formula R3 in the hit house.
What's happening?
Yeah. And
Rise,
tonight,
rock, and restore.
Yes, sir. Always. Yes, sir. You know what she'll do? In the morning, as they say.
That's right. She'll love you. That's it.
Love you. But you got to love her at night.
Yeah, you gotta love her properly at night in order for her to love you in the morning.
You know, we're speaking a lot about the empowerment of women, and tonight we do.
What is going on?
We are joined by Lisa Holly, who has joined us. Lisa, you are an author, among other things, as well as an entertainer, a comedian as well. Now, some say that you have been considered a political activist as well. Is that correct? She's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right. She's been in a rally or two. We were out there for Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
That's
you
what's
know.
up.
Real quick, people, we do want to celebrate the NFL draft. We have covered the career of one Jameis Winston for better and through his worst times. He has been drafted number 1 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of the National Football League. And then, of course, we do see current Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota going 3rd to the Tennessee Titans. So kudos to those young gentlemen who will be launching their careers at the highest level of their sport. And, of course, this weekend, as we approach what is considered the greatest sports weekend in the history of televised sport, leading the way is the Mayweather-Pacquiao bout to take place at the MGM Grand Saturday afternoon. We do anticipate what will be the battle of the century. Sports Illustrated has taken a moment to give us 2 covers, one with Manny on one side and with Floyd on the other. Gentlemen, Lisa, I'm going with Mayweather. I know you people plan to join me at my home for the evening. Any short takes on what we anticipate seeing? Is it going to be Mayweather or Pacquiao?
Now, normally, you know I'd be all excited about that. But if we talking about people getting their ass whooped on television, I'd rather just jump right on in because they getting paid. Feet first.
All right. Well, no, hey, you know what?
Wow.
Andre Lavelle makes the call. Let's rock. What's going on? Let's top it off. We know where we're going.
Yep.
Dre, you want to set this up for us tonight?
Well, we know what's going on, rioting and so forth. People have been called thugs for, taking it upon themselves to speak up and act out against oppression. And one young man was making the attempt to, do such, and his mom embarrassed him on national television and emasculated him, not understanding that this was potentially this young man's opportunity to take part in something that could possibly define their city and change for the better. What's been going on there.
Now, are you comfortable with that definition being derived by one of looking like an adult, certainly enough dressed a ninja-like, if you will.
Well, he's 16 years old.
Right, but I'm saying if you are, and we talked about this before, if one chooses to mask themselves, that does in most cases connote an air of discord, if you will. I mean, I not for nothing, but if I dress up like a ninja in a riotous scenario, I might be assumed to be one of those rioters. Not for nothing.
Here's my thing. I saw the quote that you posted, and I was like, wow. I said, you about to open up a can of worms, brother.
Let's crack it. Pandora's box, no less.
Yes, sir, because you got a lot of women out there looking at, I would have done the same thing, and I would have whooped his ass in camera. Yeah. But here's my take on it. My thing is, like, there are ways to do things. Like, I don't think she had to embarrass him like that. I mean, there's a way. And she said, listen.
She said she lost it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
She said, my emotions ran high, and that was the only way I could express
But his
myself.
emotions were running high as well. All of their emotions running high.
I understand that, but I think there's a better way. She could have pulled him to the side and do that because she did. That's embarrassing. She did embarrass him.
She knew not that the cameras were placed on either of them, right?
But he
was
all
that going on out there.
But he was in the
no
middle.
cameras.
That's true.
No, she wouldn't know that it was particularly
I understand
based on her.
that.
Right,
I
But
understand
even
that.
so, I'm sure he was
Well, it
amongst
could be a
his
setup.
peers.
right.
he wasn't the only one out there.
But
that age.
okay, but what my point was been, if you are, look, bottom line, people, and feel free to call it 818-570-5085 here on ManCave Live. Not for nothing, Dre, and I've used this term in other cases before. I don't put on a condom unless I'm preparing to have sex. I would not dress in a certain manner if I was not prepared to do a certain, conduct myself in a certain way.
Well, what he was doing was throwing rocks.
Before you call me,
Okay.
it is the notion that, is her reaction an overreaction, or was it a necessary reaction, one that does not diverse from what anybody else would do? I mean, quite honestly, I would anticipate my mother would literally have taken my block off. And I would have expected nothing less.
See, I think my problem with it is the way the media is perpetuating it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of a sudden now she's a hero. Now if the cameras wasn't rolling, let's say she was in a grocery store and she beat her kid like that, smacked him upside the head, do all that. First thing they're gonna say, oh, that woman's committing child abuse. Look how she's treating her kid out in public. But being what the circumstances are, now she's a hero. You understand what I'm saying?
Certainly.
And I think she did
it's-
overreact.
There it is. She just yeah.
I mean, she lost it. Like
She
she said. I
lost
mean,
it.
she knows she did it. She just
Right.
She wasn't thinking camera. She wasn't thinking
Right.
that I'm emasculating my son, that I'm embarrassing him for life, or until this dies down, because next year it'll be forgotten.
Maybe next week.
It'll be
Next
forgotten for us, but
But
he
for
has to
him.
live with this.
There you go.
Right.
He
Right.
could
For
be
him.
30 years old, and it's gonna pop up on the internet somewhere. And he had a mask on, shielding his face, because he was throwing rocks at the police.
Right.
Okay, so that's only common sense. She the one who unmasked and put him out there.
Right.
People who did the Occupy movement, which was a peaceful demonstration, they hit their faces. Because in this age of technology and cameras, there are going to be repercussions for your actions for speaking up against the system. That's just common knowledge.
Even though his face was covered up, I mean, it's so crazy. I mean, I guess this is a mother's love, I mean, for those who have kids, I guess they understand where she's coming from. It's like, as soon as she said that she made eye contact with him, she knew that was her son. And I was like, wow, you got a good eye.
Yeah,
You
from
understand?
birth.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But about all that chaos,
Right.
and everybody's probably looking like everybody got on black masks.
Nah,
no, but body type,
Yeah,
movement.
I would
Okay,
assume
I'll take that.
She
Okay.
recognized his pajamas. I mean, that she probably washed.
Okay,
She-
that's a good point. But
Well,
nah,
it's
it's
sweat.
just so funny. It's just
It's,
like, wow,
but it's just the notion that even if we're in a crowded room, we all know that if our parents need not more than speak our names at a regular room tone, and we can discern their voice amongst hundreds.
Right.
So this would be a case where certainly enough she could recognize her son. If it was, I bet that I would venture to say, people, that even if it was at dark time, it was a nighttime, she'd have looked at that figure and said, "That's my boy." Put that brick down.
And
now,
that's
of course,
why I say, I mean, speaking from a mother's point of view,
Right.
they knew, but it's
Yeah.
just like, wow, you could.
Now, in
Keep
terms
tuned
of
in.
if the media is making a greater issue of this, can we draw any type of correlation with what we saw with Adrian Peterson of the Minnesota Vikings and his discipline with his young son? Certainly not much younger than this young man here. We're talking child versus young man, but we are talking about America shedding light on the discipline administered by black parents, in this case, female to young man, and of course, professional football player to young child.
Well, I saw the interview on the Today Show, or whatever it was, and they were laughing when the dude said, "Yeah, you were giving them right hooks." Okay, she's clocking them with hooks. That's humorous. It is a double standard.
Let me ask you this: what if that was a black father doing that to the kid? How you think the reaction would be the same?
I don't think he would have done it. But I don't know.
Good point.
See,
That's
'cause
what
he's
that's
the
what
father.
see,
He
yeah,
knows.
Yeah, you see, but see, that's what I'm saying. That's where the emotions run high. As a
Right.
female,
Yeah.
the emotions run a little higher than a man, because a man can look at it like, oh, that's my boy. He's gonna play it a certain way.
Well,
For the
also-
most part,
and
'cause-
that was my point. Because if you go to our Facebook page and look, most of the women are responding based on emotion
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
and single mothers. Everything that comes out their mouth is, "Well, where's the father?
Of course.
Or,
Okay.
You don't raise no child."
Right.
Versus what the original debate was.
because people
It's
tend
a
to
touchy.
project.
Yeah, it's a
So
touchy
she's like,
situation.
what I would do. We didn't ask you what you did. This is
Right.
what happened.
Exactly.
And this is, but to them, that's what to a lot of people, a lot of mothers, single mothers. This
Right,
is what
that's
they
what
would
they're
have done.
looking at, yeah.
It doesn't say it's right, but in their world, that's what they're told to do.
And that's all they know how to. That's all they know how to do is to react to their kids like that, smacking them upside the head.
some
and-
mothers.
You know,
So- but it's-
especially in that type of environment in Baltimore, like I was telling you earlier, Baltimore a rough environment, dog.
Exactly,
You know
and
what
that's
I'm
the
saying?
point
so
I was
maybe
making.
that's her only way of like, people's like, well, how could you do? I don't know, maybe that's her way of expressing love because she's like, I don't want to see him in a coffin. So
Right,
that's
that's
how
what-
I had
yeah,
to
I
come
mean-
at him like that. I understand that, but it's just like, wow.
So you
like,
tell him not to do a violent act against the people who are being violent against him with violence?
I mean,
I don't think she's thinking like that.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think she's thinking like that. And like I said, my thing is like, I understand what she's doing. I understand what she did, but it's just the manner that she done it. You understand?
Okay.
It's like, it's like,
Okay, let me say this. What about the civil rights struggle and all the young men who are out there marching and doing, because and everything wasn't peaceful. See, the movie of Selma
Right.
got people romanticizing it. It wasn't,
nah,
everything was
nah,
not
nah, I agree with you
peaceful
on
march.
that. Nah.
And there were, what if the mothers of that generation took on this mindset? You ain't gonna be out there. We would have no progress.
Okay, well, let's understand, putting things in proper context before we get too far away from the minutia that it oftentimes means so much. As I understand, Miss Toya Graham is the mother of 4 daughters and 1 son, which is
Actually,
her young.
5 daughters.
Yes,
Five
there's
daughters.
6 children.
Daughters,
6 children.
5 daughters
And
and
one
1
son.
son. Now, if you correlate that her son represents a target of the police department of Baltimore, or like we all would as African American gentlemen, her reaction would have escalated. Would have an escalation that corresponds with the fact that her son identifies himself as a target to the police in this circumstance. So her reaction of protection, I think, was delivered with a measure of understandable exuberance, because she's she's got 1 boy. Her boy has now put himself in a position of harm. I think that her choice to discipline and remove her son, so extract her son, if only so violently, it makes perfect sense.
No, that's
You
a good
can't-
point. She's being a parent, but you gotta.
you can't
and you got-
protect him by cowering in the house, acting like it's not going on out there. If anything, she should have joined him to show the right way, if there is such a right way.
I really, not to cut you off. I see JD. I'm just simply saying that I draw a line at the young man coming out of his house dressed like a ninja. You don't put a condom on unless you're preparing to fuck, my friend.
Well, see, here's the thing.
He was throwing rocks.
I don't.
And so does that remove him from any? Is he any less responsible as those being considered?
He was in
quote
the
unquote
fray
thugs?
with people of his age and generation, with his
There you
clique
go. That's what I
doing
was
what
about
they
to say.
all were
Big-
doing.
Right.
Expressing himself, just like she got caught up in the moment, he was caught up in the moment, and he related to it more than she does.
Well, now
most
would this
likely, because
perpetuate
he
tear
knows he's a
gas and
target.
maybe rubber bullets
But
if
see,
being shot into a crowd if they see individuals like this?
Here's my thing, man.
be told.
Stop thinking like a grown up for a second.
Right.
And here where I'm going with. Stop thinking like a grown up. Put yourself at 16 again, and maybe your friends have adhered to the police whooping their ass and doing all kind of things. Because you hear the young kids around the block, man, you know what? That cop did the same thing to my man. So when they jump off, they thinking like kids, like, we're going to rile up and I'm going to jump in the mix. I'm going to throw rocks and bottles, because here's the thing. He's not thinking, hey, I'm going to get caught. And not only that, he's not thinking like, yo, my mom's is going to be out there.
Right.
He's thinking,
Definitely not
you
what
know what
he
I'm
was
saying? He's
thinking.
not thinking that. He's thinking like, yo, all my boys are doing it. I understand what's going on, because like you said.
And he might have lost some of his
There
voice.
you go. And because I had a friend who was shot in the back by the cops. I know what it's like to lose a friend to law enforcement.
Right.
And then try to plant the peace on them. But that's another story for another day. So I can understand, like I say, sometimes we have to take our shoes off and put their shoes on and see what they're going through. See, understand their walk, because we're looking at it from a grown up, and I understand her being a parent. She's just rolling off the emotions,
Right.
and she said it.
Right.
But let's look at it from his end. Everybody's looking at, oh, he's a thug, and stop saying that, man. I wish people would stop saying that. You might as well go ahead and say the N-word, because and I'm gonna put it on the table. I'm gonna put the race card on the table. when the white boys do that and they tear up stuff on campus just because they won a football game,
Right.
and they burn couches and they turn over, they get a smack on the wrist.
Pull down goalposts.
All that.
Right.
Wow, out completely.
Right. Destroying property.
Damage. Property damage like crazy.
Right.
But then you have these young kids whose backs are against the wall and they're tired, man.
They're tired of it.
It's boiling over.
Yeah.
You set fire to water and it's now boiling over. And I'm not saying the kid, he shouldn't have been, but you know what? Let's stop and look at it from his point of view. Because me personally, no father in the house, whatever, I'm going to jump right in the mix.
Yeah.
As a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, I'm going to jump in the mix because I'm thinking.
Or even with a father in the house, because you relate to what's going on.
Right.
Exactly.
You're the one out there on the streets going back and
It
forth to
could've been you.
school
Could've
or
been
whatever
you.
the case
You
may
know?
be.
And I understand what you're saying, Lex, like you open yourself up to that, but hey, man, what can you do? You keep poking at an animal in the corner, what you think you're going to do eventually?
Exactly. True. Understood.
And people, there is no book of rules on how to boycott or there's no
the country is
101.
founded on. They revolted with the
Yeah.
Boston Tea Party.
But
You
there's
think
no
if they-
rule book that says you have to be peaceful
Listen.
or that you just have to kowtow and give in.
Let me
to the
pose this.
system.
Let me pose this question to the panel and those out there who are watching and listening. If you think they would have kumbaya back in the day, when the British was coming over doing damage, where you think we would be?
We still
We'd be under the Queen.
we'd still be under
Speaking
the
like
Queen.
this, actually.
Right.
But what did they do? They revolted.
Yeah.
Samuel Allen, they were burning down houses and all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's part of the.
We're the only people who are
That's- we
expected
can't
to
do
bow our
it now.
heads
We
and
look
pray on
savage.
it. And
We look
be
savage
peaceful.
when you've been doing this
Right.
throughout
You
history.
taught us how to do it.
Hold up. First of all, let's take it back. Not even like 50 years. Yo, you burning churches.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
Bombing
people
churches.
bombing churches with
Yeah.
the people still in it.
Little girls in it. Yeah.
You bombing? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Right.
Okay, now let's
None of
move
them
it
were-
toward-
But we're savages.
Yeah.
Okay, now
we burned down a
Thugs.
CVS.
Okay, let's throw this on the
saying.
table. Is it possible that a solution is on the horizon, or is it a forlorn conclusion?
Listen,
That
they better-
there is no
listen,
resolution.
Listen, they better do something quick because if they don't, and I'm just quoting from what I heard one of the brothers say on television today. He was like, "Hey man, listen, if these cops get off," he said, "Yo, Baltimore, they're gonna burn it down, just like that." And I know that's some harsh words to swallow, and that may not may not be the solution.
Problem
But-
is we now see we have had demonstrations in Philadelphia, which resulted in mild confrontations between police blocking entrance into the I-95 and people from the collective, almost coming to a
New York
combat
as well.
situation. Union Square, New York,
Yeah,
there
it's
have been
spreading, man.
situations. We have yet to see something take place on the left coast, i.e. Los Angeles, but we do anticipate that this is something that could perpetuate citywide. Now, I
Well,
beg
there
the
are
question.
peaceful demonstrations all across the country.
Right,
You
now-
don't
now
want
my
the
question is
peaceful
this.
ones don't get media attention.
Right, but
Right.
my question is this: what we have seen take place in Philadelphia today, Baltimore over the last few days, is this something that will catch on? Is it a movement that can catch on nationwide? Because I don't think that solving a problem in city by city piecemeal will correct anything for the culture collectively.
Well,
Now,
I
do-
know they was marching in Chicago too,
They were
so it's,
marching, okay.
it's starting to spread, man.
Okay.
So
But once again, the
Do you need an
marching
incident? Do you
and
need an incident in your
you-
city to spark something to happen?
nah, man,
I
because
think
it
we
affects
need
us all.
shows like
Right,
this,
right.
and we need our own media and people to get online to spread the word and open up dialogue and figure out the plan to do it. We can't rely on the system or the news because we see it's a lopsided
It's
No, yeah,
show
the
of
media,
what
man.
the media
Yeah,
is
the
showing.
media
Yeah, they show you what they want to show
everything
you.
is
man.
Exactly.
like wag the dog. They're not going to show you what the truth is. There was one I just saw where this guy was voicing his opinion to Geraldo, and he said, "We were out here peaceful, but there was no one for a week. Nobody was here. The minute you hear something about a riot, you want to come out and
course.
say something
And make
because
us out to be
right. And he's like, because I'm raising my voice does not mean I am threatening. It's
What was Geraldo?
but I am, trying to voice my opinion because, and as he was saying this, Geraldo's backing away.
Why are you angry?
Exactly.
Oh, really?
Exactly. When we raise our voice, we're angry.
Yeah, right. Like nobody else can raise their voice.
I don't understand. Like, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, we have
because
no
you know why
emotions.
you know why you don't see the problem? Because you don't live it. You don't experience that.
That's right.
And
That's why you don't see it.
Just-
And you don't care.
But that response from Geraldo, well, you're raising your voice at me. Are we not allowed to raise our voice?
No,
So
you're
if you're a person of color, you
Like
can't
I hit
raise your
with a chair.
voice.
There you go.
It's like, Daddy, who are you to raise your voice at me? Like,
Yeah.
man, you a man just like me.
Yo,
Right,
listen, we just
right,
got
right.
our
I'm passionate about the situation. You down here covering BS.
Right.
You're not coming with the real,
Right.
and I'm telling you what it is, and you're ignoring me. That's why I'm raising my voice.
Listen. We can't act up because we only got our civil rights 49 years ago. I was just talking to somebody about that. Just doing the math on that. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? And the answer, remember we had put something on the table last week about what was in the Constitution about, we was talking about 1/8 and all that.
Right.
3/5.
3/5. Okay.
3/5 of man.
Right.
There's still laws out there that people don't know.
What? That's still on the books.
They're still on the books. I mean, it's just
So you property, my man.
unless you are really checking it out, which a lot of people do, and they can depend on that. Them not checking it out.
They're not checking it
they're
out.
Gonna,
Exactly.
they can enforce
Because
it.
And that's the point that
distract
I was
you with
trying
other
to make
things.
with this particular situation. People are basing it off emotion and being parents versus understanding the situation that we're in right now and why this young man was out there and why we all need to be doing something, voicing, making. The dichotomy between black and white in this country is never more evident than the baseball game and what people were posting on news about the economy and how this is affecting the
Right.
game and it's so bad for
But see,
baseball fans.
two things
It's
on
like,
the
the hell with your baseball.
Right.
Two
A
things on the
man's
table.
dead.
Two things on the table. Remember when
Crazy.
they were showing the footage? Like,
'Cause
okay,
they're trying to deflect.
they were showing the footage of like the people at the baseball game and the rioters while they were fighting. Now they only show that part. While
Exactly.
people
They don't
fighting.
show how it started.
They ain't show how it started. Now check this out. This is universal law. There's no way around it. I don't care what you do. There's a cause and there's an effect. That's just the bottom line. What the media and everybody is concentrating on, they're concentrating on the effect. Let's look at the cause. What caused the disease? What caused the uprise?
Right.
You got to start at the root of the problem, which
It was
is
a
the cause.
peaceful demonstration
Right.
going through
Until they
their
started calling them
baseball
coons, niggas. Yes, I'm using the N word.
and they threw a bottle
And
first.
they set it off. Now, most people
because they were in the bars.
Listen, and they would drunk. And listen, and most people would have said, "Well, nah." Like back in the day, they would have kumbaya and walked through it. Not this generation. This generation, like, oh, you want to throw bottles? Oh, well, let's get it on.
I'm gonna throw a trash can.
I'm gonna throw a trash can, and we gonna fight. And then they start beating them up in the street. And then they was like, "Look at them, they're savages." What caused that?
Well, one of the things I find interesting, if you look at what took place, I think it was either 2013 or 2014, we had a standoff somewhere in Middle America regarding cattle on certain property rights to have cattle herded on whether it was public property or private property. The federal government stepped in, and you had a literal standoff between Americans and whether it was government officials or alcohol, drug, and tobacco forces. You had a literal standoff with
People had guns
military-
pointing them
yeah.
at
military-grade weaponry.
government officials.
And we saw a standoff in which a white contingent was wholly vested and situated in a standoff in which the federal government chose to literally back away when pistols were pointed in each other's direction. Whereas conversely, what we see here is a stone throw versus the same military-grade weaponry, and there seems to be a difference in the evaluation of these confrontations.
You think?
Is it something that is just intrinsic? Is it true that is it so intrinsic that we cannot have an uprising or any type of strong show of
Force?
We ain't got
collection?
We don't have the arms, man. I mean,
With arms. Because if
like
if that was a black contingent, certainly enough, I believe.
oh
that,
man,
that
first of
there
all, it
would've
wouldn't have
been-
got to that point,
Right.
Because they wouldn't allow us to have guns.
and there wouldn't have been a back off. I'm simply
Exactly.
saying. My point is this: the reason why I hasten to say that the young man was in the wrong in presenting himself this way is this: if things do indeed jump off as you just discussed, I do think we are at an incredible disadvantage when we look at what's happening, because certainly the violence against the ruling authority is not going to be the answer, because we are not armed in such a way. They had National Guard that was called
That's
in.
true. Now this may be true. So okay, the cops get off. Okay, we don't fight back. We still kumbaya. What happens at the end of the day?
So they Baltimore burns to the ground.
Look, Evie, you damn if you do, you damn if you don't.
Right.
If you can burn it down or you can kumbaya, but you know what's going to happen? They're going to take another black life.
I think
Prove it.
that
They
what
took
they're
110
doing, what they're
and
doing
since
is-
2011.
Yeah,
but you got to look at the way the laws were changed with civil rights was the fact that they got media attention.
That's what it
and,
is.
And,
Somebody was good point.
and embarrassed the country.
That's what it is. That's the only thing that's
The
going to
same
stop
thing
it.
is happening because what went down in Tiananmen Square, those students weren't armed and they had tanks coming after them, but they embarrassed their government
That's
and the
what
UN
it is.
stepped in.
And that's what
So-
and America doesn't like that. They don't like being embarrassed.
So will we see any intervention from international governing bodies?
You know what?
We have
Maybe
to be
because
consistent.
it happened. It happened. Didn't it happen with the civil rights? Because I mean, international media that helped it along. I don't think us just marching and that had some effect. But when it got across the seas, they was like, oh, and y'all talking about us? Look how you treat your citizens.
and it's so much quicker now. So
There
it's
it is.
instantaneous.
It's going viral.
Yeah.
Well, can we draw a correlation with what we see, and this is on an international level, with Ireland and Northern Ireland? Almost second class. If you were a Northern Irish, man, you're almost a second class citizen in what is your own country compared to the UK, within the UK. And we see the revolts of the Northern Ireland peoples was extremely violent. Certainly enough by comparison, the loss of life, we haven't seen that here. We've seen people being killed by the cops, but we haven't seen full on,
Mass hysteria.
mass
Yeah.
hysteria, citizens
Not
with
yet.
guns and
Not yet, like
weaponry.
you said.
Not yet.
I
hate to say that, but
I
not
sincerely
yet.
hope this does not escalate to that point, because it's not a situation in which the African American community wins, because it's only going to be our loss of life.
So well,
It won't be just us losing life, though.
So
True that.
So where else do we go? Because I'm sure it's not only this happening to Black Americans. I'm sure they're happening to the brown people too, the Hispanic
Right.
people, and they trust me I don't know about on this side, but I know on the East Coast, there are a lot of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and there's a whole bunch of them, and they're going through the same thing.
Right.
They're getting stopped and frisked and all that stuff too. If you're a man of color, that's just what it is, because the system's not designed for us. I'm just gonna say it. You just have to learn to play within the system, but it's not designed to help you. Because let's take it back to history. You wasn't brought over here, and I hate to use that word, but it is what it is. Our ancestors wasn't brought over here to get along, and no. You brought over here to build this land, pick cotton, so forth and so on. So what makes you think they want equality? I just said it 2 minutes ago. We just got our civil rights 49 years ago.
Well, now, is this a knee-jerk reaction from elements of American society in their reaction to maybe a changing of the ruling authority that we do have an African American in the presidential capacity?
Oh, wow, you want to talk
We've
about
now-
I
that?
don't think
The
it's a knee
sec-
jerk. I think it's 500 years, and like it's not. It's always building. It's,
Whoa,
it's not like
you
it's-
want to listen? That makes it even worse.
Second Attorney
Yeah.
General is black, second in a row.
You know what?
Not for nothing.
Listen, that makes it even worse because
Does it?
check
Mayor of Baltimore is
And
black.
I'm gonna tell you why it makes it worse. Under this man's watch,
Right.
you have all this going on. Young black men getting shot down in the back like
That's
dogs.
what I'm saying. Is it a knee-jerk reaction by elements of American culture to a changing in the ruling authority?
I mean,
Well, although that ruling authority maybe have superficial power at best, albeit in intangible powers we're
but
not
you know
seeing.
what? It doesn't. I mean, he may have superficial powers, like you said, but to the eyes of the world, he's the head of the most powerful country in the
Right.
world, and you allowing this a person looks just like. And
Right.
I'm not bombing Obama. I like that. I'm not bombing Obama.
Well, you
I'm
might
not-
get a call from
You know what I mean? You know what I
you
mean?
might get a call
I
from
love
the,
my president. He does his thing. You know,
Right.
kudos, man. But I'm saying, just the way from the outside looking in,
Right.
what does that that look like? You like,
Is
Okay,
your
this
house in
goes
order?
back.
Is
You
your
know
This
what I'm saying?
goes
Like,
back
wow,
to what the
he look
original
like
topic
you.
was. Okay, they don't take him serious
Trayvon could've
as a
been my son.
strong
That's what I gotta say.
leader because he's a black man. The same way we're emasculated in the media, we're emasculated in our communities. Women are not willing to identify and see our side of it, and that's what the initial talk was. So if the president of the United States is belittled and not allowed to do his job, and people, I mean, they talk to him as if he's not the president. So, I mean,
He's the only
said-
president that doesn't get addressed as the president.
yeah.
It's Mr. Obama.
I mean, so they
a lot of
that
times,
that right
unfortunately.
there, I ain't gotta say it's pulled out there in the tape. That's disrespectful.
Exactly.
But yeah, but what I'm saying is
Intentionally.
like this
Intentionally.
this type of behavior that's going on, and you like you said you got a lady in now that's part of this
Attorney
black
Gen- the
one,
new
attorney
Attorney
general,
General, right. Mhm.
Part of it. And this is still happening on your watch. What does that look like to
And
the
of course,
international
before her
world?
was Holder, and it was happening.
Exactly.
Right.
But I mean,
So
it's
what is
all
that? Yeah.
intended. It's not like they're doing it on purpose. I mean, of course.
Anything
Anything to undermine and to
But
weaken
all of
his
this goes
stature.
back to when we were not allowed to be the head of our household. The women were raped in front of us. Our kids were sold off in front of us. We could not speak up and be the men that we wanted to be. We were taken away. They took our power.
They got you. They
And-
got you years before
Right.
the,
And
and the
welfare
resentment
system and all
of
that.
our women for that continues today.
Well, you
I
th-
see it.
If you divide,
That's the way I view it.
Yeah, but if you divide the woman from the man, which you supposed to work together, because a man and a woman as a unit is powerful, dog. Look at Coretta and Martin, Malcolm and Betty. I mean,
Michelle
and
Barack.
Barack. If you got two that work together, like as you know, to be biblical in one yoke, dude, that's a powerful force, man.
Right.
You know, so in order to break that, and not only that, if you have children and you pass that down to your seeds, that's generational. But what they do is they break that in half.
Well, okay, not to cut you off, but I will put this out just from a philosophical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Western civilization as a culture,
Mm-hmm.
are you looking at a patriarchal society,
Mm-hmm.
which places the value of the father as head of the household? Perhaps out of an Afrocentric civil cultural identity, is it perhaps historically a matriarch household where the
Okay.
mother leads the household? And so what I'm saying is it something that is it foreign for us, for our African American household, to reflect our African heritage in which the matriarch was the leader of the household? Are we adapting a Western civilized attitude and placing the value so heavily on it being a patriarch
Put your teeth
in
in
the
that.
household?
You want to put your teeth in that?
My point being,
Please do. Sink it in. It's like
it's
steak.
here. All right.
And it's juicy.
There's a difference between men and women.
Right.
Well,
There's a difference in finding that rite of passage. Women get it naturally. When you get your period,
Come on.
you are now a woman.
Come on.
What is our rite of passage as men in this society? We're no longer the warriors. We no longer hunt. We no longer hang with the men and leave the women at a certain age. Women are leaders of the household, so you forever a boy in that household. When do you become a man? And this is the issue I take with that there, because we say we want they say they want you to protect the community and be the head of the house and be a strong black man and this and that. He stepped up when he should have stepped up, and she beat him down for it on national television, forever taking his manhood.
I certainly enough. I appreciate your vigor, but if we must return to this, there's a certain, if you, not for nothing, we do understand that if you're going for a job interview and you want to get the job, there's a certain way that one must approach that standpoint. Okay, now I don't think that laws are going to be changed when a person chooses to present himself as a person that could be a target of police authority.
I don't think it matters what you're wearing. I just saw an article about names. 50% of the people that have ethnic sounding names are, their resumes are tossed.
I
You
heard
saw
about-
that?
Yeah.
And yeah, same exact resume all the way down.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
I mean, maybe you can't spell it, but that person is still qualified to do the job.
So are we saying that this is the modern representation of the rebel? That we all should, are you going to put on a mask if it does get
If
hot?
that's what
in LA?
if that's what it
Standing for
if
something.
that's
That's
if
what
that's
he-
what it means. You looking at the mask instead of the situation.
No, I understand
My
the
thing is
situation.
the situation.
But I'm saying, look, if you have 99 targets, now you had 100 targets. Okay, she removed one target of the police department. Now
she
there's only
removed
99.
him as a target today, and once this is all over, he's 16. When he hits 18, if he's walking down the street and they feel like it, they will kill him. So you can't protect him all the time.
Right.
I would rather him be a martyr. I would rather be a martyr standing up for something I believe in than just be walking down the street. I look at the cops and they decide, let's get that one.
Yeah, which and I like that. It's a perfect segue because let's go to the brother that this is all stemmed from. Why did you bring him into custody?
Freddie Gray.
Freddie Gray. What did Freddie Gray do?
It hasn't been released yet, or
No,
hasn't even been discussed.
All they said was
He looked at him a certain way.
There
He
it
looked
is.
suspicious.
When he was coming out of the store with his friends or whatever.
That sounds like Evers. Is that Medgar Evers?
Medgar Evers?
With the whistle.
Right, and he said the cop. He looked at the cop, and the cop looked at him.
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till.
Right.
I'm getting him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Emmett. Yeah. He said the
I'm
cop.
like, I know it's-
the cop looked at him, and he looked at the cop, and he said he took off running. Now people was like, "Well, why did you run?" Exactly. Now
Society.
here's the
You're
thing.
killing us.
Here's the thing. Let's say, for instance, you're in the hood, and you know there's that one dirty cop that's in the hood,
Yeah.
and everybody in the hood knows because we sit around, we talk about
Yeah.
it. You know that's a dirty cop. If you see him, you better
Right.
watch out. Go the other way. So if you see this dirty cop, what's your natural instinct to do? Sit there?
Evade, certainly enough. Natural.
Now, and then they try to say, okay, well, he had a switchblade. When we caught him, he had a switchblade. Okay, well, first of all, how do you know he had a switchblade?
Yeah.
What was the probable cause? Like, what did he stir up? What did he do to make you apprehend him? Was he flashing a gun? Was he
Right.
was he stark naked? Did he
Right.
steal something? No. So and that again, that's the root of it all. What did he do? Why? Because they're not talking about that.
Right.
Because all this could have been avoided.
And we can definitely see situations where we have other elements of American culture who can approach a cop, with a weapon in hand, literally threatening
Shoot
the cop
me.
to
Oh, yeah.
right.
Shoot me.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
cop will literally
The people that don't
stumble
look like
over
that.
his own feet in retreat.
Just take it
Right?
easy, pal. Just
And then
take it-
and then that cop is indeed celebrated for his non-offensive actions towards a suspect who is
Right.
identifying himself as a potential threat to one's life.
Right. And
Certainly
then
not.
and then I run and I get my spine crushed.
Yeah.
Severed 80%.
Yeah.
And then you throw some lame bullshit in the mix. Yo, I tried to hurt myself
Right.
by throwing my first of all,
Right. It's laughable.
first of all, you going to court with that? It's a badass lawyer.
that could
If you
take
go to
that.
court with that, there's no way. And the doctors were saying, it's like, there's
Oh, we
no
have a call
way.
coming in.
Okay. You can't throw yourself around a police vehicle
with
and
that
sever
type
your
of force,
spine.
you're right. Right.
Hello, caller. Thanks for calling the Man Cave. You're on, caller. Hello.
Okay. Now, one of the things I want to get out there is have we lost that call? Or we let him go?
I don't hear anything. It's here, but I don't hear anything.
All right, so we do have 16 major U.S. cities now have police cameras, and I just want to get this in here because it does play into what we're discussing.
But some of them turn it off.
Well, we have the battery's not dead.
Wow.
The battery
died.
battery was dead, right? And the other one,
Right.
right? So we have Miami, L.A., San Diego. The list does not include Baltimore. We do have New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas are deciding to go with these units to be worn on top of the officers. They do retail the AXOM body camera retails at $399 per unit. So
It's not in the budget.
It certainly should be in the budget of major cities.
It's
We
not in
should
the
see
budget.
this.
The bad thing is that it's necessary.
Right.
In the first place.
Hello?
There's a. You hear anything?
Hello.
There's a breakdown somewhere in the training, somewhere they've always had a complex. Maybe they're too short, and they've always had this Napoleon complex, but they're taking it out on these people that are innocent.
Well, let me throw this out there, and I'm not, I am a conspiracy theorist, as we all know. There was a movie by starring Tom Cruise a number of years ago, in which the officers had ways of identifying individuals who were about to commit a crime.
Yeah, that's.
And they wore pieces that would allow them to see into the future. If you, I know how this sounds. It is movies, but it is a case where are we moving towards somewhat or some sort of a 1985 in terms of the book, if people are familiar? Are we turning into a Clockwork Orange type of scenario? Are we seeing a police state?
Yes, sir.
The rudiments of a police state in the United States of America.
Martial law,
Starting.
Right.
Starting.
Right. Are we
Curfew?
running? Right.
Everybody in the house at 10 o'clock.
Right.
That's something your parents tell you.
And it's just
They're
not
telling
something-
grown people that. Yeah,
It's just something that we would not see
Okay.
perhaps in Iowa or Wyoming or North Dakota, South Dakota. We begged that question on the ManCave.
50-year-old man, you got to be in the bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got to be in the house.
I mean,
we encourage people
it
to
seems.
please participate in these discussions on the ManCave. We understand that there are many different
Views.
opinions and views about these things, and we have to put these things on the table. And with this particular platform, we may not espouse views that you would share. So we do encourage you to call in and participate in these discussions and or debates at your leisure.
818-570-5085.
It seems that they allegedly have been trying to take down the black man since they came.
Of course.
For the ones that didn't make it for the passage, they created, the strongest of the strong and made them
Frankensteins.
the
We're
Frankensteins.
Frankensteins.
So they got these stronger
Laboratory.
people.
Yeah.
Well, so it's your fault. They created the stronger of the strong, and then when they got too strong, then they had to find
break you
another way
down.
to.
It's kind of, remember
Cut
what
'em
they,
down.
wasn't it at one point, like they were trying to take the weights out of the prison system because the inmates were getting too strong.
Right.
Right.
So if they can't break you down physically, they break you down mentally.
They're
and
always
from
succeeding.
within.
There you go. What you expect?
To
You
break
put
down
me in a
mentally.
cage and I ain't got nothing to do, and you give me weights. I ain't got no choice but to get strong. And
Right.
not only am I strong, but I'm angry.
Right, and I'm in here. Right.
And I'm in here. So okay, let's take the weights away from them.
But it's not even to the jail point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
it's
Most of us are in there. That's why I say that.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. But
Well, the
what I was going to
majority,
say
but
is that
not
they
always.
they do it in every form, like the study with the doll, the black doll and the white doll.
yep.
I mean, but it's subtle. It's just and every at every chance they can, they will. It's like putting more fried chicken places, fast food places in the more urban neighborhoods. There's or not enough fresh fruit, or they're always trying to find a way
Experimenting on us.
to chemtrail us to find ways to break us down.
I mean, like I said, like you said, you want to go back to the slavery. I mean, they used to put you up and auction you and like, let me see your teeth and stuff like that,
Like an animal.
like an animal.
Right.
So
where we were kings and queens before
yeah,
we,
they did. They took you from that.
I
and
get
that's
it.
what they try to break down.
Bear in mind, we all were not. Let's make no mistake. We all were not kings and queens.
But we weren't all slaves either.
Well, I get it. I'm simply saying
but
that
we all were just
if
we
we
were all people. in
right?
this-
But I'm
in
simply
this-
saying that if we keep going back, if we keep referring to circumstances that bottom line is this: to really ascend past 400 years of disenfranchisement, social economic disenfranchisement, it takes far longer than 100, 150 plus years. Let's bear that in mind. But I definitely think that there are strides being made if we are continuing to put ourselves in positions of making changes in law. Now, and that may not be as fast a process as maybe throwing a rock. But I think that it's better that we are not killed off as we try to affect change.
That's a good point. I mean, if you're gonna go that way, it's gonna take time. That's generations, man.
It's certainly generations, but certainly not 400 plus years of social and economic disenfranchisement.
But you
is
yeah,
generational.
but
and then the change.
How long did it
That's a
take
great
for
point.
apartheid to?
That's a great point. But
Right.
That's a great
Well,
point.
you
But
can't bring up
explain that to the
apartheid
younger
because
generation.
geographically,
They don't want to hear that.
the
Right.
ruling body was a
Right.
minority in that geographic reason. Now that can precipitate a change that can happen exponentially.
But it starts with the mindset. Why do they feel that they can and should be running and controlling people?
Well-
It's the same mindset that's over here. That's the same mindset that took over Australia and every other place that they've conquered and dominated.
And that's a good point.
Why is that mindset there?
That's a good point, Lex, what you saying about going through the laws and all that. And I'm saying that yeah. But that's
A
gonna
system
take,
of laws that were created without your input is not meant for you to start with.
That's gonna take a lot of time. But this younger generation, they ain't trying to hear that. Because they disenfranchised, they lost, man. They don't know where to turn. Try telling that to I don't want to, they ain't gonna reason with that. And that's a great point because that's one of the ways to affect change. But when you got people that's riled up and they're sick and tired, they don't want to hear no logic.
Right. Well,
This
This nigga,
country
I'm gonna go to
wasn't
war.
built on this country was not built on logic and diplomacy. It was built on
Oh yeah, look at you.
takeover, conquest.
Well, one of the
War.
problems that we do, and we in these discussions, I really strive for us to come and arrive at some sort of idea that could lead to a positive outcome. And we could discuss this and debate it forever, but what can we come up with that will affect change? Now, I think one of the problems that we do have to look at internally within our community is we have to keep ourselves out of the prison system, because once we enter the prison system, we're now removed from the voting eligibility. And if you remove yourself from the voting eligibility, you are factored completely out of the system.
The thing is, they're trying to, but they're going to find a reason to put them in there.
And
So why would they?
Find a reason to put an African American in jail.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are just finding DNA after 27, 37, however many years.
Right.
And your
Oh, we got your hair mixed up with a dog. I'm
and your-
sorry.
And your,
Yeah.
and
You've
your,
been in jail for
and your
30 years.
solution to change, the first thing is you got to admit there's a problem.
Right.
That's the only way it's going to start. If you don't, because a lot of people, they don't see a problem.
Yeah.
They don't see it. They did. Y'all talk about the cops beating out. That don't happen.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. And I know as we prepare to close out this night on ManCave, this fantastic hour, what can we have any idea, or do we have any idea of the perspective of the African American police officer? Has that been presented? Have they come out from behind that blue shield, if you will, to discuss their perspective and perhaps lend some insight into the mentality they must deal with on a regular basis?
You think they would, but I'm gonna say it, man. The police is like a gang. Like there's certain codes of the gang that you don't break.
I've seen a black officer come out and, you know what I mean, come out and say that, the practices.
But it's rare.
It's rare.
So what
It's
happened
a-
when he spoke? Was it?
Well, nothing happened. He said his piece, and that's the end of it. I mean,
Yeah.
what-
Yeah,
he ain't the
at
chief
this point,
for
yeah,
the-
because it just happened. So because they planted this and they did that, and he's but one voice, but the one voice that had the courage to speak up,
Right.
which is
Because I would like to, I would honestly like to hear more from police officers of color and in positions of authoritative power. What is that perspective? Because we don't hear it.
And like I said, and all cops are not bad, but see the very few that behave like this, that makes all the cops look
Well, see-
bad. Because we looking at y'all all as one, like all y'all are messed up.
The situation will change once people other than us are affected. Just like the
civil rights.
the thing they just had with the mask and everything and
The sitting on the sittings in Washington, Wall Street.
Wall Street, yeah, the whole Wall Street situation. That affect them as well. They couldn't get their house, they couldn't get loans. So but right now enough white folks ain't getting beat down.
So the
Once
uprising
more
won't
than
come.
yeah, exactly. When it affects other than us, it was a war on drugs on us until now meth heads are everywhere. And it's like, hey, we gotta do something about
Yeah, the
this.
war on drugs played out on us, so we got to find something new.
Passe.
Yeah, that played out.
Yeah, so
Come up with
when it
something
affects
else.
other people, then we
Other
gotta
cultures.
find out how to rehab and fix the problem and
And then they'll make a reality show out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, what a system.
Indeed.
What a system.
But I think that within our circle, communication is key. That's why I wanted to bring that up, because unfortunately, like I said, a lot of single mothers only see their perspective. They have their one view, one side of it. They're not seeing this young man's side or the damage that could be done to a young man's spirit by
And not only
humiliating him in such a way.
we got to stop with the self-hate, man, because if you got hate within your own community
Right.
and
No,
everything, it ain't gonna work,
that's the
man. You got,
idea.
there you go. So they,
But a lot of
yeah,
people swallow the Kool-Aid, man.
that's
Once
what-
they
that's
come
what
up a
really
little bit,
starts,
you know,
man.
and they got theirs, they don't want nobody to shake the boat or, you know.
Yeah,
Rock the boat.
'Cause
It's the
you're
house
not-
Negro.
Yeah, you're not on one. If you're not on one accord, man, you can't move. You can't be powerful, man. Everybody got to be like. Look at the
Unified.
army, man. Look how they structure the army. Everybody conforms. Everybody's like, this the mission. We going over there to kick their ass.
And can we all
Everybody
agree-
in the same mindset.
Can we
Yeah,
all
let's
agree
go.
that
Right.
it is not right to destroy your own property? I get that. But please stop with there is no rule book to expressing yourself in the heat of battle. If you're in war, there's going to be casualties of war. You can't, well, do everything but don't burn down that CVS. You putting value on material things that can be replaced, rebuilt. You know, they're tearing up their cars. What about the young man's life that was taken?
It can't be replaced.
It can't
you
be
can't replace
replaced.
that.
So all of this nonsense about, oh, they tearing up their own neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. It's frustration, it's anger. What are they supposed to do?
And it stems from being suppressed for so long.
Yeah, cause and effect, man. Like, what? Why are these people doing that? People don't do stuff just to do it, especially like the uprising.
Yeah, it's not like random.
yeah, it's like,
hey.
you know what? We're gonna go downtown and just tear shit up.
I use the analogy
doing it?
of
I got a
an
match.
abusive
Exactly.
relationship.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Got some
if people
gasoline.
can't relate to nothing else, every woman can relate to the potential of an abusive relationship. You cannot tell a woman who's emotional in that moment when she's finally had enough, go to the police office and report them and call the cops and have them arrested. No, when you had enough and you respond, however you respond is the way you do it. You cut off his dick, you throw some hot grease on him, you burn the house down, whatever you do. And you
Ouch.
can't fault her for doing that, because you're not in her position getting your ass beat every night.
All right, so for those of you who remember the great Al Green and his circumstances with grits
With the
being
grit,
thrown
yeah,
on
the
the
hot
But
grits,
nothing,
man.
Before we get out of here, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight here on the Man Cave Live Show on LA Talk Radio. With Johnny Depp, Andre Lavelle, and our esteemed guest, Miss Lisa Holly. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We also appreciate you joining us here. For all the good people on Man Cave Live at LA Talk Radio 1, thank you for joining us. We will be back here next Thursday night, as always, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We'll see you then. Good night and peace for all.
Peace.
Straight talk from our perspective. This is Man Cave Live with your host Lexington Steele and co-host Andre Lavelle and Johnny Depp on LA Talk Radio. Let's get it in.